Dr. James Aranda sits down for an interview, recounting a horrifying event that shook the world a year ago. During that time, a supermoon's light engulfed the Earth, transforming over 1 billion people into violent, bloodthirsty creatures. It was a catastrophe that nearly brought humanity to its knees. The most terrifying part? Another supermoon is on the horizon, and history may be doomed to repeat itself. As the reporter presses for answers about why this transformation occurred, Dr. Aranda avoids giving a direct explanation. Instead, he issues a stark warning, urging everyone to stay indoors and take every possible precaution. He reassures the public that his team is working relentlessly to find a solution and will stop at nothing to protect humanity from another nightmare. The story then shifts to Wesley Marshall, a former soldier and scientist. He now lives with his sister-in-law, Lucy, and his young niece, Emma. Lucy lost her husband in the chaos of the last supermoon, and ever since, Wesley has made it his mission to protect them. He is determined to ensure their survival at any cost. With the deadly night fast approaching, Wesley fortifies their home, installing barricades, setting traps, electrifying the perimeter, and securing the house with an advanced security system. The entire neighborhood is on edge. Everyone is scrambling to prepare for what's coming. Lucy's neighbor, Reagan, drops by to bring sweets for Emma. Before she leaves, Lucy hands her some essential supplies and urges her to be careful. Meanwhile, Wesley confronts another neighbor, Cody, who is recklessly firing his gun in the middle of the street. Kids are playing nearby, and at one point, Cody even shoots dangerously close to a fuel canister. Wesley warns him about the risk, but Cody brushes it off, claiming he's just getting ready for the night ahead, when survival will be every man for himself. Back at home, Wesley assures Lucy that the house is completely secure. He reminds her of the survival rules. Never open the door for anyone, stay silent, and avoid drawing attention. He makes it clear, if danger arises, she must shoot without hesitation, especially to protect Emma, no matter who is on the other side of the door. Before leaving, Wesley kneels beside Emma, promising that nothing bad will happen to them. But he explains that he has to go. The scientists need his help. Lucy pleads with him to stay, but Wesley insists that his departure is necessary. With a heavy heart, he leaves them behind, locking the house tightly behind him. As he steps outside, the streets are already descending into chaos. People are running, desperate to find a safe place before nightfall. Panic and fear spread like wildfire. Meanwhile, at a press conference, Dr. Aranda stands alongside military leaders and top scientists. His team has been working tirelessly to develop a solution, and Wesley is a key part of their efforts. Dr. Aranda announces a groundbreaking discovery, a serum named MONR that may shield human DNA from the effects of the supermoon. But this night will be the ultimate test. If the serum fails, there may be no stopping what's to come. Inside the research facility, scientists and military personnel prepare volunteers for a crucial experiment. The plan is to expose them to the moonlight and observe whether the serum can truly prevent transformation. This trial could be humanity's last hope. Miles, a volunteer, and the husband of scientist Amy, is chosen for the first test. He is securely restrained inside a reinforced cage. As the sun dips below the horizon, the world collectively holds its breath. The countdown to horror begins. Wesley and his team suit up in protective gear, shielding themselves from the supermoon's rays as they move toward the testing site. Alongside Miles, 3 other volunteers, a woman and 2 men, are about to face their fate. The moment of truth has arrived. As the final countdown begins, tension thickens in the air. The female volunteer starts to panic, realizing she's made a mistake. She wants out, but it's too late. The roof of the testing chamber slowly slides open, revealing the massive, glowing supermoon looming in the night sky. A heavy silence falls over the room. Scientists anxiously observe, waiting for the nightmare to begin. But nothing happens. The volunteers remain unchanged. Relief floods the researchers as they begin to believe the serum is working. With a glimmer of hope, they start preparing for the next phase of their study. Meanwhile, back in the neighborhood, an eerie shadow moves swiftly across the street, catching the attention of both Cody and Lucy. Inside her home, Lucy watches the lights flicker across the houses, heightening the unease. She quickly checks the security monitors but sees nothing unusual. Emma clutches her mother's hand, sensing something is wrong. Elsewhere, Reagan is in her home, calling for her mother, but there's no response. The silence stretches on, filling her with dread. Her heartbeat quickens. Then, in a chilling moment, a monstrous figure rises behind her, ready to strike. Back at the testing facility, Dr. James enters the chamber where the volunteers are being monitored. Wesley hands him the serum, cautiously explaining that, while it seems to suppress the mutation, he believes the transformation might be a dormant defense mechanism triggered by the supermoon. Dr. James questions why it's happening now, but Wesley has no answers. Then, suddenly, Miles groans. His body tenses, and a strange look crosses his face. A sickening realization dawns upon the scientists. Something is wrong. Miles begins to change. His muscles tighten, His skin stretches unnaturally, and thick hair rapidly sprouts across his arm. Dr. James urgently orders the serum to be sprayed on him, but before they can act, Miles, now halfway transformed, lunges forward and grabs the machine with terrifying strength. With a single, effortless motion, he hurls it across the room, shattering it into pieces. Panic erupts. The other 3 volunteers convulse violently as their bodies begin mutating at an alarming rate. Meanwhile, the facility's systems start to fail. Lights flicker, alarms blare, and control panels spark erratically. Amy screams for the roof to be closed immediately, but it's already too late. The power system has completely shut down. Within moments, the volunteers complete their transformation. Their monstrous forms tower over the scientists, their glowing eyes filled with primal rage. Wesley watches in horror as Miles, now fully mutated, lets out a blood-curdling roar before pouncing on one of the researchers, tearing into him mercilessly. The facility descends into chaos. Scientists scramble for cover. Wesley rushes to pull his injured teammate to safety, while another terrified scientist panics and starts firing his gun wildly in every direction. But in his desperation, he makes a fatal mistake. His bullets shatter a containment unit, releasing an even deadlier creature. Now, all hell breaks loose. The monstrous beings rampage through the facility, slaughtering anyone in their path. Scientists scream as they're dragged into the darkness. Military personnel attempt to fight back, but they're quickly overwhelmed. Amy, desperate to escape, searches frantically for a way out. On her way, she stumbles upon Wesley, who is struggling to carry his injured teammate. Before they can move, a thunderous roar shakes the building. They have no choice but to change course, sprinting toward another room. Just as they reach it, a massive creature spots them and charges forward. At the last second, Wesley slams the door shut, locking it just as the beast crashes into it with full force. Meanwhile, Lucy watches in horror as the security monitors display grotesque creatures prowling outside. Her worst fears have come true. In his yard, Cody spots one of the creatures perched high on a tree, its glowing eyes fixated on him. Without a moment's hesitation, he raises his gun and pulls the trigger. Back at the facility, Wesley's injured teammate and Amy's wounded friend succumb to their wounds, taking their last breaths before falling still. Amy insists they should stay put and wait for help, but Wesley shakes his head. No one's coming, he tells her firmly. If they stay, they die. Amy argues that leaving means stepping directly into the moonlight, the very thing turning people into monsters. It's a death sentence. But Wesley isn't. As they step outside, they spot Miles, now a fully mutated beast. Wesley instinctively raises his gun to take the shot, but Amy stops him. Instead, she fires at a nearby gas container. The explosion startles Miles, sending him reeling back. Seizing the opportunity, Wesley and Amy sprint toward a car, jump inside, and speed away. Their destination is clear: Lucy's house. On the way, Wesley calls Lucy, his voice urgent. "Are you and Emma safe?" Lucy grips her phone tightly. "For now, but it's getting worse. I just saw a werewolf break into Cody's house." Just then, she hears a faint, desperate voice outside. "Help, please." She checks the security monitor. It's Reagan. Wrapped in a tarp, she's still untransformed, standing helplessly in the middle of the street. Fear and desperation are etched across her face. Lucy hesitates. She wants to help, but she knows the risk. Over the phone, Wesley's voice cuts through. "Lucy, do not open that door. You know the rules." Lucy's heart pounds. She knows he's right, but she can't just leave Reagan out there. Thinking fast, she uses her security camera's intercom to speak. "Reagan, stay calm. Stay exactly where you are. I'll come for you soon." But it's already too late. A monstrous creature lunges out of the darkness, grabbing Reagan and dragging her away as she lets out a blood-curdling scream. Lucy watches in horror, paralyzed. On the phone, Wesley hears everything, and then a deafening horn blares. Wesley and Amy's car comes face to face with a speeding bus. There's no time to react. Back at Lucy's house, the call drops. She frantically tries to reconnect, but there's no response. Outside, the werewolf that took Reagan rips into her lifeless body. Tears stream down Lucy's face as the creature lets out a monstrous roar, shaking her to the core. Emma, trembling, clings to her mother's arm. On the road, Wesley and Amy somehow survive the crash, but their car is totaled. Flames begin to spread, creeping toward the fuel tank. They need to get out, fast. The explosion is seconds away. Meanwhile, back in the neighborhood, Cody, now fully transformed into a werewolf, grabs Reagan's lifeless body and hurls it into a power line. Sparks fly. The neighborhood is plunged into darkness. Inside the house, Lucy's heart races as the lights flicker off. She grabs Emma and pushes her toward their hiding spot. "Stay here. No matter what, don't come out," she whispers. Taking a deep breath, she steps outside. A low growl rumbles in the darkness. Lucy's eyes widen. Cody, now a towering, monstrous werewolf, stands just a few feet away, his glowing eyes locked onto her. Without hesitation, Lucy pulls out a can of pepper spray and aims directly at his face. With a sharp hiss, the burning mist sprays into his eyes. Cody howls in agony. Stumbling back in pain, disoriented just long enough for Lucy to make her next move. Meanwhile, Wesley and Amy press forward on foot, carefully navigating the desolate streets without drawing attention. Every step is measured, every breath controlled. As they move cautiously, their worst fear materializes. A pack of werewolves ahead, viciously tearing apart a wrecked car. Wesley scans the surroundings. There's no alternate route. Their only option is to sneak past undetected. Dropping low, they begin crawling toward the vehicles on the other side of the road. Just as they are about to cross, one of the creatures abruptly stops. Its ears twitch. It lifts its snout, sniffing the air. Wesley's stomach drops. The werewolf has caught their scent. Thinking fast, he grabs Amy and pulls her under a nearby car, pressing themselves flat against the cold ground. The creature prowls closer, its massive claws scraping against the pavement. It lets out a low, guttural growl before smashing the windows of the surrounding cars, searching for the source of the scent. Underneath the vehicle, Wesley and Amy remain frozen, holding their breath as the werewolf lowers its head and inhales deeply. For a horrifying moment, it seems like it's staring directly at them. But then, a distant noise distracts the beast. It lets out a grunt before turning away, eventually retreating with the rest of the pack. Back near Lucy's house, Cody, still reeling from the pain of the pepper spray, stumbles toward a water source. He splashes his face frantically, trying to regain his vision. The moment he recovers, he tilts his head back and unleashes a blood-curdling roar. Lucy, who had just begun to believe the danger had passed, goes rigid at the chilling sound. Her fingers tighten around the security console as dread washes over her once again. Meanwhile, Wesley and Amy cautiously crawl out from under the car, their bodies still tense from the close call. They scan the area. The creatures are gone. They exhale in relief. Then, beep, Wesley's watch alarm goes off. The serum's effect is about to wear off. The sharp noise cuts through the silence like a blade. Instantly, the werewolves whip around, locking onto their location. "Run!" Wesley shouts. Without hesitation, they break into a full sprint. The creatures roar behind them, charging in pursuit. Wesley's heart pounds as he spots a supermarket in the distance. The metal gate is slowly sliding shut. "Faster!" Amy gasps, pushing herself harder. With everything they have left, they dive through the entrance just as the gate clangs shut behind them. Inside, Wesley and Amy scramble to their feet, catching their breath. A young boy stands near the gate, his hand still gripping the lever. He's the one who let them in. Before they can thank him, sudden movement catches their attention. Several people emerge from the shadows, survivors. But instead of relief, tension fills the air. Without warning, two men grab Amy, one of them pressing a knife against her skin, drawing a thin line of blood. "Wait!" Wesley steps forward, but a masked man blocks him, crossing his arms. "You could be infected," growls. "We're not," Wesley says firmly. "We're scientists. We're working on a cure." The masked man scoffs. "There is no cure." Wesley's jaw tightens. "Then why am I still standing here human?" The room falls silent. The survivors exchange uncertain glances. Finally, the masked man folds his arms. "If that's true, what are you doing here?" "I need to get to my family," Wesley says. "There's an underground tunnel beneath this building. I need to use it." The masked man considers his words before nodding toward a door. "Fine, I'll show you where it starts, but after that, you're on your own." Meanwhile, back at Lucy's house, she stares at the security monitors, her pulse racing. More and more creatures are filling the streets. But this isn't random. They're assembling, organizing. Lucy swallows hard as the terrifying realization hits her. They have a plan. Back in the tunnel, Wesley and Amy move cautiously through the dimly lit passage. The air is damp, the silence thick with unease. They finally reach a locked gate. Wesley pulls out his gun, aiming to shoot it open. Then, a monstrous roar erupts behind them. Before Wesley can react, something slams into them from behind, sending them sprawling to the ground. The gate shudders under the force of the impact before bursting open. Pain shoots through Wesley's body as he struggles to get up. Amy lets out a weak gasp beside him. Then, overwhelmed by fear and exhaustion, her body goes limp. She faints, and the monster closes in. Wesley struggles to get up, but the creature slams him back down, its claws digging into his shoulders. Snarling, it prepares to strike the killing blow. Acting fast, Wesley's hand scrambles across the ground until his fingers wrap around a solid iron rod. With every ounce of strength, he drives it deep into the creature's chest. The monster lets out a guttural shriek before collapsing lifelessly. Amy stirs, regaining consciousness. Shaking off her dizziness, she rushes to Wesley's side, helping him up. Gritting through the pain, they push forward, desperately searching for an exit. They finally reach an opening to the street, only to realize the intense glow of the supermoon makes stepping outside a death sentence. Thinking quickly, they grab a discarded tarp and wrap themselves up, shielding their bodies from the moonlight. Moving cautiously, they inch forward until they spot a nearby store. Wasting no time, they slip inside for cover. But the moment they step in, beep, 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 the store's security alarm blares through the empty streets. Panic grips them. Wesley and Amy frantically search for the controls. After what feels like an eternity, they finally manage to shut it off. But the damage is done. The creatures outside have definitely heard it. Their situation just got a whole lot worse. Inside, they check their supplies. Only one dose of the serum remains. But there's a problem. It is overheated. If they inject it now, it could be useless or worse, fatal. We need to cool it down, Wesley mutters. Amy spots a freezer. Without wasting another second, they place the serum inside, hoping the temperature drops in time. Meanwhile, back at Lucy's house, the electrical barricade still holds, offering a fragile sense of security. But the creatures are adapting. One by one, they start smashing the security cameras, removing Lucy's ability to see what's happening outside. Within minutes, only 2 cameras remain operational. Lucy's hands tremble as she watches the screens. Their visibility is fading fast. Back at the store, Wesley and Amy wait anxiously for the serum to cool. In the tense silence, Wesley finally opens up. All my life I was always too busy. Mission after mission, country after country, never stayed in one place long enough to even consider having a family. Amy listens quietly. Wesley exhales. But after my brother died, I realized I was all they had left. I took it upon myself to protect them. I just don't know if I'm doing it right. Amy meets his gaze. Wesley, in a world like this, there is no right way. The only thing that matters is that you're trying. A small, grateful smile flickers across Wesley's face. Finally, the serum reaches the right temperature. I'll find something to keep it cool, Amy says, stepping away. Wesley nods, but then he hears it. A strange, wet, slurping sound. His muscles tense. Slowly, he follows the noise to a shadowy corner of the store. A woman sits with her back turned, hunched over something. Hey, Wesley calls out cautiously. Turn around. The woman freezes, then slowly lifts her head. Wesley's stomach drops. Her face is twisted, halfway mutated, fangs protruding from her jaw. Blood drips down her chin, and in her hands, what's left of a cat. Its lifeless body torn apart. Wesley swallows hard, raising his gun. Don't move, the woman twitches. I said don't, she lunges. Before Wesley can react, a sharp crack fills the air. Sparks fly. The woman convulses and crumples to the ground. Wesley turns. Amy stands there, taser in hand, breathing hard. Guess I got here just in time, she mutters. Meanwhile, outside Lucy's house, the creatures are mobilizing, and they're following orders. Cody, now fully transformed and leading the pack, lets out a deep guttural snarl. The monsters react immediately, charging at the electric barricade, slamming their bodies against it over and over. Sparks fly, the force causing the lights inside the house to flicker. Lucy grips her shotgun, her knuckles white. She knew this moment was coming. She just didn't expect it to be this soon. She glances at the remaining security cameras, just in time to see one of the creatures ramming into a pole, trying to knock it over. Her heart pounds. A second later, boom! The pole crashes down against the barricade. The entire house plunges into darkness. With the barricade down, the creatures now have direct access to Lucy's home. Only the doors and last remaining defenses stand between them and full entry. Some monsters are caught in traps, their snarls and screeches echoing through the night. But the rest are already pounding on the doors and windows, relentless in their attack. Lucy and Emma move fast, setting up emergency lights throughout the house. The dim glow flickers, barely holding back the shadows creeping in from outside. Lucy glances toward the roof. One of the creatures has made it up there, but before it can drop down, she sees it struggling, tangled in one of Wesley's traps. A brief moment of relief. They have a little more time. Meanwhile, Wesley and Amy, now injected with another dose of the serum, continue down the streets. The air is thick with tension, every shadow a possible threat. Ahead, they spot a group of survivors, battle-worn, well-equipped, and fighting off a horde of creatures under the supermoon's eerie glow. Wesley sees an opportunity. If they can convince this group to help, they might reach Lucy's house faster. As they approach, Wesley and Amy raise their hands in surrender, shouting, "Don't shoot! We're immune! We have the serum!" But the armed men remain wary, their fingers tightening on the triggers. "Bullshit," one of them snaps. Before they can argue further, a creature lunges at one of the survivors. Chaos erupts. Gunfire rips through the street, bullets flying in all directions. Wesley and Amy dive for cover as the fight spirals out of control. The horde is growing, creatures swarming from every alleyway. The armed group starts to falter. Fear grips them. They're outnumbered. Amy watches the panic unfold, an idea sparking in her mind. "Wesley, I need to test something," she says urgently. His eyes dart to her. "What? Now?" She nods. "I think the creatures react differently to us. I have to know for sure." Before he can stop her, Amy steps forward, deliberately drawing the attention of a nearby monster. The creature stalks toward her, its nostrils flaring. Amy stands still. It lunges, but instead of tearing into her, it only bites her lightly. A warning. Heart pounding. Amy lets out a sharp sound, a deliberate provocation. The creature roars in response, its head snapping back in aggression. That's when Wesley moves. He jumps onto the roof of a car, a machine gun in hand. The night erupts with gunfire as he sprays bullets into the air. The creatures recoil, their instinct to survive overriding their hunger. They scatter. "Amy, get in the car now!" Wesley yells. Amy turns to run, but before she can reach the vehicle, a hand shoots out from the darkness. A powerful grip yanks her backward. She lets out a sharp cry, then she's gone. Wesley spins, eyes wide. "Amy!" But the shadows swallow her whole. The creatures vanish into the night, taking Amy with them. A cold realization sinks in. There's no time to search for her now. Gritting his teeth, Wesley sprints to a nearby car, hotwires it, and slams his foot on the gas. He has only one priority now: reach Lucy. Back at the house, Lucy stands on the rooftop, rifle in hand. Her shots ring out, each bullet taking down a monster below. But the numbers are endless, the swarm relentless. Click. Her gun is empty. Panic flares. The creatures are smashing against the doors. The barricades are crumbling. Emma clutches Lucy's arm, eyes wide with fear. "Mom!" Lucy's mind races. No more traps. No more bullets. Then, a deafening horn blares through the street. The creatures freeze. Heads snap toward the source of the noise. Lucy turns too. A car speeds toward the house. Headlights blazing. Wesley. He's here, and he's got a plan. Hearing the roar of the engine, the creatures turned toward the street. Wesley floored the gas pedal, aiming straight for them. The car barreled forward, knocking several monsters aside, but just as he was about to break through, Cody lunged from the darkness, landing hard on the hood. The impact sent the vehicle veering off course. Wesley fought for control, but it was too late. The car slammed into a nearby house, debris flying everywhere. Inside the house, Lucy and Emma held their breath. For a fleeting moment, they thought the worst had passed, until crash. A monstrous creature burst through the weakened wall, snarling as dust and debris filled the air. Panic took hold. Lucy grabbed Emma's hand, pulling her toward another room. In a split-second decision, she shoved her daughter into a closet. "Stay quiet, no matter what happens." Emma, wide-eyed with fear, nodded. Lucy took position behind the door, gripping a makeshift weapon, a broken chair leg. The creature stalked forward, its unnatural gaze locked onto the closet. It could sense Emma's presence. Thinking fast, the girl grabbed a canister of pepper spray and, just as the monster reached for her, sprayed it directly into its eyes. The beast howled in agony, just the opening Lucy needed. She lunged from behind, slamming the wooden stake into its back, but the monster was too strong. With one powerful swing, it sent Lucy crashing into the wall. Emma screamed. Without thinking, she grabbed a kitchen knife and stabbed the creature. The blade sank in, but had no effect. The monster turned toward Emma, preparing to strike. Lucy, gasping for breath, spotted an axe among the wreckage. She lunged forward, and with every ounce of strength, swung it down hard, burying the blade deep into the creature's skull. It collapsed instantly. Breathing heavily, Lucy stumbled toward Emma, pulling her into a tight embrace. Then, "Lucy? Emma!" Wesley's voice echoed through the wreckage. Relief flooded Lucy as she turned to see him standing there, battered but alive. Before she could say anything, a low, guttural growl rumbled behind him. Cody. The werewolf dragged itself out of the wrecked car, bloodied but far from defeated. They were out of bullets, out of weapons, out of options. Wesley clenched his fists. He already knew what had to be done. Turning to Lucy and Emma, he spoke softly, almost like he was saying goodbye. "You have to stay strong," he told Emma, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "No matter what." Then, he took off his watch and pressed it into Lucy's palm. "I've set it for 15 minutes. Lucy's throat tightened. "Wesley," he turned away, stepping toward the open door. No hesitation, no second thoughts. Outside, his serum wore off. A shudder ran through his body as the transformation took hold. Bones twisted, muscles expanded. A guttural snarl tore from his throat as he dropped onto all fours. Now a full-fledged werewolf. Cody growled in recognition, and then they clashed. A brutal primal battle erupted, shaking the ground as claws and fangs tore through flesh. They smashed into cars, tore through fences, each fighting for dominance. But this time, Wesley was stronger. With one final bone-crushing blow, he overpowered Cody, tearing him apart. Then, silence. Back inside, Lucy pulled Emma into a hidden corner, hands shaking, because now, Wesley was still out there, fully transformed. The heavy thud of footsteps echoed through the house. Lucy gripped her shotgun. Emma trembled beside her. "Mom, is he going to hurt us?" Lucy didn't answer. She didn't know. Then, her fingers brushed against one last shotgun shell. Quickly, she reloaded, steadying herself. The beast stepped inside. Its massive form loomed in the doorway, golden eyes locked onto them. Lucy's breath hitched. She did the only thing she could think of. She held up a family photo. Wesley's eyes flickered. A split second of hesitation. Hope surged in Lucy's chest. "Wesley, it's us." But then, a deafening roar. The force of it knocked Lucy backward, the shotgun slipping from her grasp. Emma screamed. Lucy scrambled for her weapon, hands shaking, ready to fire. Beep, her watch alarm. Sunrise. Lucy's eyes widened. She had one chance. Instead of aiming at Wesley, she turned the gun toward the window and pulled the trigger. Boom. The glass shattered, and sunlight flooded the room. Golden rays bathed Wesley's monstrous form. He froze. His body convulsed. Muscles shrank, claws retracted, and then he fell to his knees, gasping. Human again. Lucy lowered her shotgun, tears welling in her eyes. It was over. And with that, the nightmare finally came to an end.